Hey, Dr. Brian Paris here, and today we're going to talk about pain and feeling. I know many of us out there experience chronic pain and we don't know what to do about it from an emotional perspective. It takes over our entire lives. The concept that we're going to work on today is called embodiment. Embodiment means feeling your emotions in your body. Now, when you break pain down into a neurological concept, it's actually experienced as an emotion. Pain is an emotional experience. Now, when we talk about embodiment, I like to break it down into a couple different sections. The most important piece, and this is a scientific word here, it's called interoception. Interoception means what I'm feeling from the inside out. The nervous system on the inside is broken down into two sections. The sympathetic nervous system, which controls your fight or flight mechanisms. The parasympathetic nervous system is our rest and digest. Both of those systems are in constant balance. Now, when we're in chronic pain, we're in a state of chronic fight or flight. When we live in this chronic state, it's stressing our bodies out consistently. So the goal is to help us move into a parasympathetic rest or digest state. So how do we do that? Breathing and our lungs are the best way to get into our nervous system. It's the way we can get conscious control of our bodies and have an embodied experience. So let's get into it. Now, what I want you to do is put your hand on your chest and your hand on your belly. Most of us breathe and we're breathing into our chest. So if you watch me, I'm breathing into my chest here. So if you're breathing into the top of your lungs, you're in this fight or flight state. Really what I want you to focus on is actually taking a deep breath into the belly here. And you can close your eyes. And this is the first step, really just to practice feeling the breath into your body. You could do it from a seated position. I like to sit in a nice square, even position here. Once you can master the belly breath, the next step is the 4-7-8 method. The longer I exhale, the more it fires off the parasympathetic nervous system. So if I'm exhaling twice as long as I'm inhaling, that helps me get into that rest and digest state. If I'm breathing very fast, it's putting me in more of a sympathetic perspective. So I like breathing in for 4, holding it for a 7 count, and then breathing out on an 8 count. Now, I use what's called an Ujjayi breath. An Ujjayi breath is as if I'm fogging a mirror. So when you breathe through your nose versus breathing through your mouth, that also stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system. Now, I use this handy dandy little tool here, and this is called the Camuso design, the shift. You may have seen it. It was made by Camuso monks and adapted from there. The monks would be able to use this device in this same perspective. So I can take a deep breath in through my nose for that same count of 4, hold it for 7, but then I'm going to use this tool to actually breathe out on an 8 count. I don't know if you're counting out there, but you can see where I'm breathing out twice as long as I'm breathing in. Now, this can be used for fighting cravings or addictions. I've used it for different aspects of changing different habits and behaviors in my life, and I'm in that rest and digest state more than in that fight or flight state. We got a long life to live, and one of the biggest pieces to longevity, of course, sleep is important, nutrition is important, the way we move is important, and I would tie this into mindset and emotion. Like, how are we managing our emotions through our body? So this is embodiment. My goal today is to really give you some tools to use regarding posture. So we all hear about posture, but what does it mean? So let's first break it down into what's called proprioception. Proprioception means my awareness of where my body is in space. So if I feel like I put more weight on one foot over the other, or my body's twisted. Now, posture can really mess with this because I can get stuck in these positions. So when you look at your posture from the front, the quickest things that pop out are my shoulders are even, is my head tilted or twisted to one side, is my hip twisted or moved. When I look down at my feet, is one sticking out over the other? One of the best tools that I use here, it's simply called the mountain pose, and we steal it from yoga, which is okay. I'm gonna walk us through the feet all the way up to the head and the neck. So the first important thing is that my back and my body touch the floor through my feet. So when I'm doing any posture-based work, I love to take my shoes off. You know, our feet were meant to bend and grip the earth. We're stuck in shoes and socks all the time. I really advise take your shoes and socks off. What I want you to do is keep your feet roughly about shoulder width apart. You don't have to be like you're on railroad tracks. You can let your feet come out a little bit. Now, I want you to grip the earth with your toes and then let them relax. I got 2 points in the front of my feet and 1 under my heel. So imagine that I have these triangles in my feet and I'm gonna twist them inwards so I can feel my glutes fire up. You wanna have relaxed knees. Your pelvis doesn't wanna be too tilted from the front or the back. It's a nice neutral position. We'll show you from the side in a second. Next, my core is engaged. Pay attention to where your hands settle. Now, if your palms tend to go forwards, that tells you that my body tends to round forwards. Most of us experience this because we're on the computer on a consistent basis. And that's bringing the head forward, puts tension on the nerves in the neck, puts tension on the nerves in the low back. I want you to practice with your palms outwards, reach the palms towards the floor. This is a little excessive, but I want you to get into that routine so that you pull yourself out of this forward-leaning posture position. Next step, imagine that you have a tennis ball in between the top of your chest, your sternum, and your chin. So that's called packing the neck here. Okay, so we don't want to be looking up too far, looking down. Again, feet gripping the earth, rotating so that you engage the glutes, pull the belly button in, shoulders wide and back, arms, palms facing forward, chin tuck. That's my position. Okay, so now we're gonna work with posture from the side. These are things that I want you to start to look out for, is that this excessive rounding in the thoracic spine, one, compresses the ribs, doesn't allow us to expand our diaphragm as well, or if it's very flat and arched, that causes the opposite. So we wanna have a nice middle ground here in this perspective. So when you're looking at posture from the side, you want your ankles to line up with your hips. The knees are in a relaxed position, hips line up with the shoulders, and then the shoulders line up with the ears. So looking for a couple things here, if I have an excessive arch, I want to bring the hips underneath a little bit, keep the belly button pulled in, keep the core tight. If I have an excessive tilt, I want to work on opening that up a little bit. And looking at forward head posture, the further my head goes forward, the more tension it puts on the spinal cord and more tension it puts on the nerves going down the arms and even the nerves going down the legs. So if you do have things like neuropathy or numbness and tingling in the arms or sciatica going down the legs, this could be a relationship to that. So imagine bringing your head and ears over your shoulders, shoulders over your hips, hips over your ankles, and holding that position, tongue roof of the mouth, nice belly breath. Good. Now, what's really interesting is that there's recent studies that show the connection between postural distortion and fibromyalgia. So for those of you who are suffering from fibromyalgia, I know it's a combination of pain, muscle tightness and stiffness, digestive problems, sleep problems. It's a tough condition. I've treated thousands of patients with it and talk to people all the time who not only need joint support, supplement support, nutritional support, but the postural position becomes critical for you to work on over a period of time. So if you need to find someone, you definitely can contact us and we can help you find the right person to work on posture. And please keep a lookout for the next videos coming through so you learn how to do the right things to keep your posture strong.